Sneha and Philip. On the evening of September 10, 2001, a woman walked into Century 21 department store near the World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan. Security cameras captured her shopping at approximately 7:18 in the evening. She spent roughly $500 on lingerie, a dress, pantyhose, bed linens, and 3 pairs of shoes. A store clerk reported seeing her accompanied by an unidentified young woman, possibly Indian, who has never been identified and has never come forward. That footage is the last confirmed sighting of Dr. Sneha and Philip. The next morning, 2 planes struck the Twin Towers 4 blocks from her apartment, and the question that has haunted her family for more than 2 decades is whether those events had anything to do with her disappearance, or whether the answer lies somewhere in the hours before. Sneha and Philip was born on October 7, 1969, in Kerala, India, to a family of physicians. She immigrated to upstate New York, graduated from Johns Hopkins University in 1991, and earned her medical degree from Chicago Medical School in 1999. She met Ron Lieberman, a musician from Los Angeles, at medical school. They married in May of 2000 in a ceremony blending Jewish and St. Thomas Syrian Christian traditions, then moved to an apartment in Battery Park City, Manhattan, roughly 4 blocks from the World Trade Center. Her professional life had hit turbulence. She began an internship at Cabrini Medical Center, but the hospital declined to renew her contract in early 2001, citing repeated tardiness and alcohol-related concerns. Her family disputed this, claiming she was let go for raising complaints about bias. She started a new internship at St. Vincent's Medical Center on Staten Island, but was suspended for missing a required meeting. On the morning of September 10th, Philip and Lieberman attended her court arraignment. On a misdemeanor charge, she pleaded not guilty. She returned to their apartment, repotted orchids, and had a 2-hour online chat with her mother from approximately 2 to 4 in the afternoon, during which she mentioned planning to visit the windows on the World Restaurant atop the North Tower for a friend's upcoming wedding. At approximately 5:18, apartment security cameras captured her leaving. After the Century 21 footage at 7:18, she vanished. Lieberman returned home after midnight. She was not there. He assumed she was out late, which was not unusual, and went to sleep. At 4 in the morning, a call was placed from the apartment landline to his cell phone. He does not remember it clearly. A critical piece of evidence emerged later. Private investigator Ken Gallant, a former FBI agent hired by Lieberman, discovered apartment lobby security footage time-stamped at 8:43 on the morning of September 11th, just 3 minutes before American Airlines Flight 11 struck the North Tower. The footage shows a woman entering the building, waiting near the elevator, then leaving. Due to poor lighting, she is visible only in silhouette, but her hair and dress appear consistent with Philip. Lieberman could not positively identify her. An NYPD investigator believed it was her. If it was Philip, she may have witnessed the attack from the street and rushed to help as a physician, only to perish in the collapse. When Lieberman returned to the apartment that evening, a window had been left open. Dust from the collapsed towers covered everything. Kitten paw prints marked the dust, but no human footprints were present. The shopping bags and purchased items were never found. She left behind her glasses, passport, driver's license, and all credit cards except the American Express used that evening. The account remained open for years. No charges ever appeared. The NYC medical examiner removed Philip from the official list of 9/11 victims in January 2004. Lieberman petitioned to have her declared a victim. In June 2006, a judge ruled it could not be established she perished on September 11th. The family appealed. On January 31st, 2008, a 5-judge appellate panel reversed the decision. Justice David Sachs wrote, "Even without direct proof irrefutably establishing that her route that morning took her past the World Trade Center at the time of the attack, the evidence shows it to be highly probable that she died that morning." Philip was officially declared the 2,751st victim. Her name is inscribed on panel S66 of the South Pool at the National September 11th Memorial. No physical remains have ever been identified. Lieberman remarried in 2010 with his former in-law's encouragement. As of 2025, the NYC Medical Examiner's Office has been approved to use cutting-edge DNA technology to test thousands of bone fragments from ground zero. But while Philip vanished on the most documented day in American history, the next case involves someone who was on the phone with his family for hours, visible on security cameras, and still somehow disappeared without a trace. Bryce Laspisa. On the night of August 29, 2013, California Highway Patrol found a 2003 Toyota Highlander lying on its side at the bottom of a 15-foot embankment near Castaic Lake in Los Angeles County. Tire track analysis showed the vehicle had accelerated down the hill, suggesting intentional action. The rear window had been broken from the inside. Investigators believe the driver climbed out through it. Inside the vehicle sat a cell phone, wallet, laptop, and a duffel bag with clothes and personal items. The only thing missing was the driver himself and the clothes on his back. Bryce David Laspisa was born on April 30, 1994, in Springfield, Illinois, the only child of Karen and Michael Laspisa. He grew up in Naperville, Illinois, described as intelligent, outgoing, and sociable. When his parents retired, the family moved to Laguna Niguel, Orange County, California. Bryce enrolled at Sierra College in Rocklin, near Sacramento, roughly 7 hours from his parents' home, to study graphic and industrial design. His freshman year went well. Good grades, a close friendship with roommate Sean Dixon, and a relationship with fellow student Kim Sly. When Bryce returned for his sophomore year in August 2013, friends noticed alarming changes within days. He became withdrawn, erratic, and low in mood. He admitted to taking Vyvanse, a prescription stimulant he did not have a prescription for, to stay awake playing video games. His roommate reported he was consuming hard liquor daily. On August 27th, Bryce broke up with Kim via text, telling her she would be better off without him. He sent Sean an emotional message. "I love you, bro. Seriously. You are the best person I've ever met. You saved my soul." He gave Sean his Xbox and diamond earrings that had been a gift from his mother. On August 28th, Sean called Karen to express concern. Bryce called his mother and told her he was at Kim's apartment. Kim had taken his car keys because she was worried he was not fit to drive. Karen told Kim to return the keys. Instead of going home, Bryce drove to Chico, broke up with Kim in person, and then began driving south toward Laguna Niguel, approximately 500 miles. At roughly 1 in the morning, on August 29th, he called his mother. She assumed he was at his apartment. He was already an hour south of Rocklin. By 9 in the morning, he ran out of fuel near Button Willow, Kern County. Roadside assistance delivered 3 gallons of petrol. Despite receiving fuel, Bryce remained parked in the same spot for approximately 6 hours. At 3 in the afternoon, Karen had the station owner return to check on him. He was still there. He was convinced to continue driving and called Karen, saying he was heading home. He never arrived. A deputy located Bryce parked just a few miles from where he had been earlier. The officer reported Bryce seemed lucid and friendly, with no signs of impairment and nothing concerning found in the vehicle. Bryce called his parents and got back on Interstate 5. At 2:08 on the morning of August 30th, Bryce called Karen, saying he had pulled off to rest. Security footage showed he instead turned onto an access road rather than stopping. At approximately 4:29, more cameras captured him driving in the Castaic area. Between 4:20 and 5:15, the CHP found his vehicle at the bottom of the embankment. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department conducted an extensive multi-day search using ground teams, helicopters, planes, boats, divers, and scent tracking dogs. Castaic Lake was dredged. No body was found. Bloodhounds tracked Bryce's scent from the crash site across a bridge to a nearby truck stop, where the trail went cold, suggesting he may have gotten a ride. Multiple false leads have emerged. In April 2022, a widely circulated photograph of a man in Missoula, Montana, bore a striking resemblance to Bryce, but a detective confirmed it was not him. In August 2023, NCMEC released an age-progressed image. Karen Laspisa told NCMEC, "The past 10 years have been a devastating journey for our family, but we've maintained an unyielding hope that Bryce will come back to us." The case was featured on NBC Dateline's Missing in America in September 2025. It remains open and unsolved. But while Bryce vanished after a strange cross-state drive that lasted days, the next case unfolded in just minutes on a college campus at the end of a night out. Cindy Song. On the early morning hours of November 1st, 2001, a young woman was dropped off at her apartment complex in State College, Pennsylvania. Her friend watched her walk up the stairs, but did not wait to see her enter the door. She was never seen again. Hyunjong Cindy Song was born on February 25, 1980, in Seoul, South Korea. Fascinated by American culture, she moved to Virginia at 15 to live with her aunt and uncle, attending Hayfield Secondary School in Alexandria, and then Randolph-Macon Academy in Front Royal, from which she graduated in 1998. She enrolled at Pennsylvania State University that fall, majoring in integrative arts with aspirations of becoming a famous, popular, rich, talented graphic and fashion designer. She was a member of the Korean Undergraduate Student Association and the American Red Cross, and worked as a waitress at Seoul Garden Restaurant on Fridays and at Penn State's Pollock Laptop Library on the midnight to 8 shift. By fall of 2001, Cindy was a senior scheduled to graduate the following spring. She had registered for next semester's classes and ordered a new computer. On Halloween night, October 31st, 2001, Cindy went out with friends Stacy Paik and Lisa Kim to a costume party at Players Nightclub on West College Avenue in State College. She was dressed as a Playboy bunny. White tennis skirt, pink t-shirt with bunny logo, brown knee-high boots, and bunny ears, with a red hooded parka over the outfit. The club shut down around 2 in the morning. The trio went to a friend's apartment at the Park Hill complex, where they played video games for about 90 minutes. At approximately 3:30 to 4 in the morning, Stacy drove Cindy to her apartment at 349 West Clinton Avenue. Stacy watched Cindy walk up the stairs, but did not wait to see her enter her door. Inside the apartment, investigators later found her backpack by the door, her cell phone in its usual spot, and her false eyelashes from the costume, suggesting she had at least begun her nightly routine. Missing were her purse, containing her driver's license and credit cards, and the bunny costume itself. There were no signs of forced entry or struggle. Her roommate returned the next afternoon to find the apartment locked from the outside, quiet and empty. Detective Brian Sprinkle of the Ferguson Township Police Department led the initial investigation. Hundreds of interviews were conducted, bloodhounds and helicopters deployed, and the FBI assisted with phone and financial records, all without results. The strongest lead emerged in 2003 through Paul Weekly, a police informant and former cellmate of convicted criminal Hugo Selensky. Weekly told police that Selensky and an associate had mistaken Cindy for someone else on Halloween night, taken her from State College, and brought her to Selensky's property in Hunlock Creek, Luzerne County. When police searched Selensky's property in June 2003, they discovered the remains of at least 5 people. None were identified as Cindy Song. In January 2014, remains of 7 additional people were found on the property. Again, none were linked to Cindy. A critical problem with Weekly's account. Forensic examination revealed he had searched the internet for information about Cindy Song before providing his tip, potentially fabricating the story using publicly available details. Selensky was convicted in February 2015 and sentenced to life in prison. He has never been charged in connection with Cindy's disappearance, but remains a person of interest. Cindy's mother, Bansoon Song, traveled from South Korea to aid the search. As of 2025, the case remains open with 21 binders of information at Ferguson Township, PD. DNA samples from Cindy's biological parents are in national databases, but while Cindy vanished from a college town in the dark, the next case involves someone who disappeared in broad daylight on an open highway in the middle of California. Rico Harris. In early October of 2014, a man drove out of Seattle towards Southern California to say goodbye to his family before permanently relocating north. He had a job interview waiting for him. He had discussed marriage and children's names with his partner. Everything was moving forward. But somewhere along Interstate 5, he took a wrong turn, and no one has seen him since. Rico Omar Harris was born on May 19, 1977, in Los Angeles, California. Standing 6 feet 9 inches tall, he was the eldest of 4 children. His basketball talent was extraordinary. At Temple City High School, he averaged 28 points and 15 rebounds per game as a senior, and was recognized by the Long Beach Press-Telegram as one of the best high school players in the western United States, alongside future NBA stars Chauncey Billups, Paul Pierce, and Jason Terry. He received interest from UCLA, UCNN, and Kentucky. He attended Arizona State University but struggled academically and left. At Los Angeles City College, he averaged 16.5 points and 14 rebounds, and led the team to its first ever California Community College State Championship in the 1996-97 season, earning MVP honors. NBA scouts attended his games. He was described as Lamar Odom before Lamar Odom, but academic setbacks prevented him from transferring to the University of Rhode Island. After stints at Cal State Northridge and minor league teams, he signed with the Harlem Globetrotters in the spring of 2000. Less than a month later, he was struck across the back of the head during a night out in South Los Angeles. The severe head injuries ended his career at 24. What followed were years of struggle with alcohol, substance use, multiple court appearances, and a near-fatal incident with prescription medication. He entered rehab at the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center around 2007, remained sober for approximately 7 years. By 2014, Rico was in a relationship with Jennifer Song of Seattle. He had moved there, obtained a Washington State driver's license, and arranged a job interview as a property appraiser. They had discussed marriage. Life appeared to be turning around. In early October, Rico drove from Seattle to Alhambra to pack belongings and say farewell to family before the permanent move. The visit was emotionally disappointing. He sought closure and reconciliation, but did not get what he hoped for. Shortly after midnight on October 10, 2014, he departed Alhambra for Seattle despite not having slept, wanting to get back for his interview. Rico and Jennifer spoke by phone for 3 to 4 hours while he drove north on Interstate 5. She eventually fell asleep. Around 9 to 10:45 in the morning, he stopped for fuel outside Sacramento and left Jennifer a voicemail saying he was going up to the mountains to rest. Approximately 11:15, he lost cell phone reception. This was the last confirmed contact. Cell phone video and photos found later showed Rico alive in his car that evening, singing along to music and taking selfies, including one at a Welcome to Yolo County sign. His car, a black Nissan Maxima, was discovered on October 12th by a deputy in the parking lot of Cache Creek Regional Park off California State Route 16 near Rumsey, roughly 60 miles north of Sacramento and far from Interstate 5. The car was locked, out of fuel, with a nearly flat battery. Inside sat his wallet, empty of cash, credit cards, scattered CDs, and 2 plastic bottles containing hard liquor. Rico's backpack was found about 1,500 feet from the car alongside Route 16, containing his cell phone, charger, jumper cables, clothing, and more bottles. Lead Detective Dean Nyland of the Yolo County Sheriff's Office directed extensive searches using ground teams with ATVs, helicopters with thermal imaging, search dogs, and divers in Cache Creek. Size 18 sneaker footprints, consistent with Rico's shoes, led from the parking lot toward the creek. Shoe inserts were found near the water. Several unconfirmed sightings were reported in the days following, including a passerby who saw a large man sitting on a guardrail overlooking the creek on the morning of October 11th, and another who reported seeing him walking along Route 16 at 8 in the morning. On October 19th, fresh size 18 footprints were discovered near the park. Detective Nyland ruled out foul play and theorized that Rico made a wrong turn, stopped to rest, and after waking, allowed the unresolved issues from his past to come into play. Rico's mother, Margaret Fernandez, has continued to advocate for her son. People don't just vanish. The case remains open with no remains, no financial activity, and no confirmed sightings since 2014. But while Rico vanished alone on a remote California highway, the next case involves someone who was surrounded by people all night long, and still, not one of them can explain what happened. Lauren Spearer. On the morning of June 3, 2011, a young woman left an apartment building in Bloomington, Indiana, and began walking toward her own apartment roughly 2.5 blocks away. She was barefoot, without her phone, her shoes, her keys, or her purse. She never arrived. No surveillance camera along the route captured her. And despite more than 36,000 tips received over the following 14 years, no one has ever been charged. Lauren Elizabeth Spearer was born on January 17, 1991, in Scarsdale, New York, to Charlene and Robert Spearer. She graduated from Edgemont High School in 2009 and enrolled at Indiana University in Bloomington, studying textiles merchandising as a sophomore. At just 4 feet 11 inches and 90 to 95 pounds, with blonde hair and blue eyes, she was diminutive. She suffered from long QT syndrome, a rare heart condition that made certain substances particularly dangerous for her. She had met boyfriend Jesse Wolfe and friend Jay Rosenbaum years earlier at Camp Towanda in Honesdale, Pennsylvania, a connection that formed much of her social circle at IU. On the evening of June 2nd, Spearer had friends over to watch an NBA Finals game and share wine at her apartment at Smallwood Plaza. Boyfriend Jesse Wolfe went to sleep at his own apartment. After midnight, the night took a turn. At approximately 12:30 in the morning on June 3rd, Spearer left with friend David Rohn for Jay Rosenbaum's apartment at 5 North Townhomes. She left her cell phone and shoes inside the bar and was visibly in an extreme state. At 2:30, cameras showed Spearer entering Smallwood Plaza. A passerby named Zach Oakes noticed her condition and asked if she was okay. Concerned, residents confronted Rossman, urging him to help her to her room. By 2:48 to 2:51, Spearer was captured on camera exiting an alley between College Avenue and Morton Street. Her keys and purse were found along this route. Rossman was seen carrying Spearer. They arrived at Rossman's apartment, where he became ill and was put to bed by roommate Michael Beth. Beth tried to persuade Spearer to sleep on the couch. She refused. Beth called neighbor Jay Rosenbaum, who took Spearer to his apartment. Also present was visiting friend David Blesnak. At approximately 4:30 in the morning, according to Rosenbaum, Spearer left his apartment despite his attempts to get her to stay. He reported last seeing her at the intersection of 11th Street and College Avenue, headed south toward her apartment about 2.5 blocks away. She was barefoot, wearing black leggings and a white shirt, without phone, shoes, keys, or purse. She never arrived. The Bloomington Police Department, IU Police, and FBI investigated. Searches included a 9-day excavation of Sycamore Ridge landfill in 2011 and an FBI search of a property connected to a registered offender in 2016. a $120,000 reward was posted, with $10,000 from Indianapolis Colts owner Jim Irsay. No one has been named a suspect. The Spearer family filed civil suits against Rossman, Rosenbaum, and Beth, alleging negligence. All were dismissed between 2013 and 2014. In May 2024, journalist Sean Cohen published College Girl Missing, revealing previously unreported details, including a 3 a.m. phone call Rossman made while Spearer was collapsed on a curb outside. Spearer's mother, Charlene, has stated, "I truly don't think it was a random abduction. I think that somebody that Lauren knew was responsible." Cohen emphasized in his reporting, "There's not a shred of evidence that she ever made it out of those townhouses alive." As of June 2025, the case remains active. If you've made it this far and enjoyed deep dives into the most shocking criminal cases, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to press the bell icon. But while Spearer vanished from a college town after a night out, the next case involves a man whose entire career was built on solving cases like hers, and who disappeared with a laptop that someone had gone to extraordinary lengths to destroy. Ray Gricar. On the morning of April 15, 2005, Center County District Attorney Ray Gricar worked a half-day at the courthouse in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania. On his desk, a book was found open to a section about how to replace a district attorney. At approximately 11:30, he called his girlfriend, Patty Fornicola, saying he was driving through the Brush Valley area and heading to Lewisburg to go antiquing. It was the last time anyone spoke to him. He was 59 years old. He had served as Center County's top prosecutor for 20 years. And he was about to become the subject of the kind of case he had spent his career investigating. Ray Frank Gricar was born on October 9, 1945, in Cleveland, Ohio, growing up in the Collinwood neighborhood. He attended Gilmore Academy, earned his undergraduate degree from the University of Dayton, and his Juris Doctor from Case Western Reserve University School of Law. He began as a prosecutor in Cuyahoga County, specializing in the most serious cases. Around 1980, he moved to State College, Pennsylvania, was hired as an assistant DA, and won election as District Attorney of Center County in 1985 by 600 votes. He was re-elected 4 times and successfully campaigned to make the office full-time in 1996. Former Montour County DA Bob Buhner described him as the most serious prosecutor I've ever met. His personal life included 2 marriages and divorces. By 2002, he had moved in with Fornicola, an employee of his office. A chilling family parallel haunted the case from the start. His brother, Roy Gricar, had disappeared from his Westchester, Ohio home in May of 1996. Told his wife he was going to buy mulch and was found in the Great Miami River a week later. His passing was ruled self-inflicted. The day after Gricar's disappearance, investigators found his red 2004 Mini Cooper in the parking lot of the Street of Shops antique store in Lewisburg, near the Susquehanna River. Inside sat his county-issued cell phone and cigarette ashes on the passenger seat, despite Gricar being a non-smoker who disliked cigarette smoke. Missing were his laptop, keys, and wallet. On July 30th, 2005, fishermen discovered Gricar's laptop in the Susquehanna River, lodged against a bridge support. The hard drive was missing. 2 months later, a hard drive was recovered on the riverbank about 100 yards from the laptop, so badly damaged that neither the FBI, the U.S. Secret Service, nor data recovery firm Kroll OnTrack could recover any data. The hard drive and laptop found separately confirmed deliberate removal before disposal. In April 2009, investigators revealed that internet searches had been conducted on Gricar's home computer for how to wreck a hard drive, how to fry a hard drive, and water damage to a notebook computer. Searches pointed toward premeditation, but of what kind remained the question. 3 primary theories compete to this day. The first is that Gricar took his own life, following the same pattern as his brother, whose car was also found near a bridge over a river. Former Sheriff Denny Now said, "I would bet the farm that he committed suicide." Against this, no history of depression, he was looking forward to retirement, and his body was never found despite thorough river searches. The second is voluntary disappearance. Gricar allegedly expressed interest in the case of a Cleveland police chief who vanished to start a new life. He was fluent in Slovenian with relatives overseas. The third is foul play. Cigarette ashes in a non-smoker's car, tracking dogs suggesting he got into another vehicle, and a prison inmate's claim that a cellmate boasted of involvement all point in this direction. Gricar's daughter Lara petitioned to have him declared deceased, and on July 25, 2011, a judge granted the request. Pennsylvania State Police took over the investigation in 2014 and confirmed in April 2025, the 20th anniversary, that the case remains ongoing and active. Trooper Jacob Reimstein stated, "This case is never closed until we're able to get to a final conclusion. A $5,000 reward remains open. But while Gricar disappeared, leaving behind a destroyed laptop and deliberate digital traces, the next case hinges on something even stranger. A 7-minute window in rural New Hampshire, and a fingerprint match that took 21 years to surface." Maura Murray. On the evening of February 9, 2004, a black Saturn sedan struck a snowbank on Route 112 in Woodsville, New Hampshire. A school bus driver named Butch Atwood, returning from a ski trip, found the driver at the scene. She was cold and shivering, but not bleeding. She asked him not to call police, claiming she had already called AAA. AAA has no record of such a call, and there was no cell service in the area. Atwood drove 75 yards to his home and called 911 at 7:43 in the evening. When Haverhill police officer Cecil Smith arrived at 7:46, the driver was gone. She vanished in the approximately 7 to 19 minutes between Atwood's departure and Smith's arrival. She has never been found. Maura Murray was born on May 4, 1982, in Brockton, Massachusetts, the fourth child of Frederick and Lori Murray. A star athlete in track and basketball at Whitman-Hanson Regional High School, she was accepted to the United States Military Academy at West Point, where she studied chemical engineering for 3 semesters. She transferred to the University of Massachusetts Amherst to study nursing, making the dean's list. She dated Army Lieutenant Bill Rausch, stationed at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. The days before her disappearance were filled with unusual activity. On February 5th, while working as a security guard at a UMass art gallery, Maura received a phone call from her sister, Kathleen. Maura broke down in tears, becoming completely zoned out and unresponsive. On February 7th, her father visited UMass. They went car shopping and to dinner. That night, Maura borrowed his Toyota Corolla for a gathering, and at approximately 2:30 in the morning on February 8th, struck a guardrail, causing $10,000 in damage. On February 9th, the day she vanished, Maura conducted a flurry of activity. Shortly after midnight, she searched MapQuest for directions to the Kitchund, Berkshires, and Burlington, Vermont. At 12:55 in the afternoon, she called a condo association in Bartlett, New Hampshire, where her family had vacationed. At 1:24, she emailed professors and her work supervisor saying she would be out of town for a week due to a death in the family. No death had occurred. At 2:05, she called a number for hotel booking in Stowe, Vermont. At roughly 3:15, she withdrew $280 from an ATM, nearly all her funds, and purchased approximately $40 in alcohol. Her dorm room was found with belongings packed in boxes and art removed from walls. At the crash site, the car had hit a tree, damaging the left headlight and pushing the radiator into the fan. Both airbags had deployed. Found in the car? Wine stains, an empty bottle, a damaged box of Franzia, her AAA card, accident report forms, driving directions to Burlington, her favorite stuffed animal, and the book, Not Without Peril. A rag was stuffed into the muffler pipe. Missing were her debit and credit cards, cell phone, black backpack, and some bottles. A critical anomaly has never been explained. Witness Karen McNamara claims she passed the scene at approximately 7:33 to 7:37 and saw a police SUV parked nose-to-nose with Murray's car before police officially arrived. The most significant recent development involves Stephen Baldwin, formerly Stephen Finkelstein, Maura's West Point classmate, who had served as her student advocate at a disciplinary hearing. In March 2025, Baldwin was sentenced to 15.5 years in prison in Ohio on 32 counts related to a fraudulent operation, cruelty to animals, and bribery. After his 2020 arrest, his fingerprints were entered into AFIS. New Hampshire State Police Cold Case Unit Detective Charles West contacted Ohio police. Baldwin's prints matched an unidentified fingerprint found on a CD or CD case in Maura's car. Detective West reportedly told others Baldwin was his #1 suspect. The FBI visited Baldwin in spring 2024 and questioned him. He denied involvement, but acknowledged the fingerprint. Journalist James Renner noted that Baldwin changed his name approximately 8 months after Murray disappeared. As of December 2025, the NH Cold Case Unit expanded from 1 part-time investigator to 2 full-time investigators. But while Murray's case has generated millions of podcast downloads and a major fingerprint breakthrough after 2 decades, the next disappearance lasted just seconds, captured in a single phrase on a phone call that has haunted a family ever since. Brandon Swanson. At approximately 2:30 in the morning on May 14, 2008, a 19-year-old college student was on the phone with his father, walking along a rural road in southern Minnesota in the dark, trying to find his way to town. He had been talking for approximately 47 minutes. Then, mid-sentence, he suddenly exclaimed, "Oh shit," and went silent. The phone did not crash or disconnect violently. It simply went quiet, as if he had pressed the end button. His father called back multiple times. He never answered. His phone remained powered on until May 16th, when it presumably died. He has never been heard from again. Brandon Victor Swanson was born on January 30th, 1989, in Marshall, Minnesota, to Brian and Annette Swanson, with a younger sister, Jameen. He graduated from Marshall High School in 2007, an avid reader with a love for science. He was enrolled in the Wind Turbine and Renewable Energy program at Minnesota West Community and Technical College in Canby, about 30 miles from Marshall, and had plans to attend Iowa Western College the following fall. Brandon was 5 feet 6 inches and 120 pounds, with curly brown hair, blue eyes, and black wire-framed eyeglasses. He was legally blind in his left eye. May 13th was the last day of spring semester. Brandon attended an end-of-semester gathering, had some drinks at a friend's house in Lind, then visited another student in Canby. Before midnight, he left Canby for the roughly 30-minute drive home to Marshall, taking back roads. At approximately 12:30 in the morning on May 14th, his Chevrolet Lumina went off a gravel road into a ditch, hung up on an incline with the wheels unable to gain traction. Uninjured, Brandon called his parents, telling them he was near Lind, about 10 minutes from home. Brian and Annette drove toward Lind, keeping Brandon on the phone. He flashed his headlights. They flashed theirs. Neither could see the other. Brandon was not where he thought he was. He told his father he would walk toward lights he could see, believing they were Lind. The phone call continued for approximately 47 minutes. Brandon described walking along a fence line, hearing water nearby, seeing distant town lights. Then came the exclamation and the silence. Cell phone records revealed the devastating truth. Brandon's calls were routed through a tower near Minneota, placing him near Taunton, approximately 25 miles from Lind, in a completely different direction. The lights he was walking toward were likely a Taunton grain elevator, not the town he believed. He was completely disoriented, walking in the dark, legally blind in one eye, toward a place he would never reach. When Annette reported Brandon missing at 6:30 in the morning, officers initially dismissed her concern. telling her it was hardly unusual for young men that age to stay out all night and that it was Brandon's right to be missing. His abandoned Lumina was eventually found in a ditch along the Lincoln County line. Doors open, keys missing. Bloodhounds picked up a 3-mile scent trail from the car, following field roads west-northwest to an abandoned farm, then along the Yellow Medicine River to a point where the scent appeared to enter the water. Sheriff Jack Vizecki walked 2 miles of the Yellow Medicine River every day for 30 days and found nothing. Over 500 volunteers spent more than 120 days searching over 100 square miles, with more than 30 dog handlers from 9 states. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension took over in 2010. No physical trace of Brandon has ever been found. No phone, no glasses, no clothing, no remains. Brandon's parents channeled their grief into advocacy. Working with State Representative Marty Seifert, they pushed for legislation requiring police to immediately investigate missing adult reports. Brandon's law was signed by Governor Tim Pawlenty in May 2009. The law requires police to immediately accept missing persons reports for adults and prohibits refusal based on time elapsed or the possibility of voluntary disappearance. 4 other states have since passed similar legislation. Some landowners in the search area still refuse to allow teams on their property, leaving gaps that have never been covered. But while Brandon vanished into the darkness of a Minnesota night, the next case was captured on camera in broad daylight, watched by millions online, and still no one can explain where he went. Lars Mittank. On the morning of July 8, 2014, airport security cameras at Varna Airport in Bulgaria captured something that has since been viewed over 16 million times on YouTube. A 28-year-old German tourist sprinted through the terminal, bolted out the airport doors, jogged across the parking lot, climbed over a 2.5-meter-high barbed wire fence, and ran into a field of sunflowers beside the Bulgarian National Highway. He was heading toward a dense forest. He left behind his wallet, his mobile phone, his passport, and all of his luggage. He was never seen again. Lars Joachim Mittank was born on February 9, 1986, in Berlin, Germany, and grew up in Itzehoe, Schleswig-Holstein. He worked as a technician at the Wilhelmshaven power station. A dedicated football fan of SV Werder Bremen, he enjoyed hunting, fishing, swimming, and sunbathing. He was close with his parents, frequently helping at home after his father suffered a stroke. Friends and family described him as friendly, easygoing, athletic, and a peacemaker. He had no reported history of mental health concerns. He stood 5 feet 11 inches and approximately 187 pounds. On June 30, 2014, Lars traveled with 5 friends to Varna, Bulgaria, his first trip outside Germany. They checked into the Viva Club Hotel at the Golden Sands Resort. The vacation was unremarkable for a week. Swimming, sunbathing, football, and watching the World Cup in bars. On July 6th, the second to last night, a disagreement erupted between Mittank and other German tourists over football loyalties. The group left for McDonald's. Mittank waited outside, saying he was not hungry. When his friends came out, he was gone. He did not return to the hotel that night. The next morning, he appeared at the resort and told friends he had been beaten by 4 men, possibly Bulgarian or Russian, hired by the rival fans. He had an injured jaw and a ruptured eardrum. A local doctor diagnosed the injuries, advised him not to fly due to pressure risks, and prescribed the antibiotic cefprozil. His friends wanted to stay, but Mittank insisted they go, even rejecting a specific offer from one friend. All 5 departed on their scheduled flight on July 7th. After checking into the Hotel Kolor Varna near the airport alone, Mittank's behavior transformed. He called his mother, Sandra Mittank, whispering that people were trying to harm or rob him. He asked her to cancel his credit cards, claiming they had been copied. He said 4 men were following him. Hotel cameras showed him pacing the lobby, constantly looking out windows and hiding in the elevator. At approximately 1 in the morning on July 8th, he was captured leaving the hotel for about an hour before returning. His whereabouts during that hour remain unknown. The next morning, Sandra booked him a flight home and sent €500, which he never collected. Mittank took a taxi to Varna Airport and went to the airport medical office for flight clearance. Airport physician Dr. Kostov examined his ear, told him he was fine to fly, and later revealed a crucial detail. He didn't take those antibiotics. He didn't even fill out his prescription, so his behavior couldn't have been a result of that. While in the office, a construction worker entered. The airport was being renovated. Mittank began to tremble, then shouted, "I don't want to die here. I have to get out of here." He jumped up and fled. The cameras captured the rest. The sprint through the terminal, the fence, the sunflower field, and then nothing. Searches began immediately. Border guards with dogs the next day, police dogs, helicopters scanning a 10-kilometer radius, ground teams, and local volunteers. Interpol and the German Federal Criminal Police Office became involved. Sandra Mittank hired private investigator Andreas Gutig, who checked hospital records for unidentified patients and found nothing. Unconfirmed sightings have been reported in several countries, including one by a German truck driver in 2019 who claimed to have given a hitchhiker resembling an older Mittank a ride near Dresden. None have been confirmed. The leading theory is a severe psychological episode, possibly triggered by the head trauma from the beating, an undiagnosed condition, or extreme stress combined with isolation. The case remains open in both Bulgaria and Germany. But while Mittank's disappearance was captured on camera for the world to see, the final case on this list involves someone whose vanishing was so quiet that 2 different states did not even realize it had happened. Phoenix Colden. On the afternoon of December 18, 2011, a young woman walked out of her family home in Spanish Lake, Missouri, climbed into her black 1998 Chevrolet Blazer in the driveway, and pulled away. Her father, Lawrence, saw her leave at approximately 3 in the afternoon. She was supposedly headed to a convenience store or a friend's house. She wore gray sweatpants, a dark hoodie, and tennis shoes. She never came back. And what her family discovered in the weeks and months that followed would reveal a life they knew almost nothing about. Phoenix Lucille Colden, born Phoenix Reeves, was born in 1988 in California to Goldia and Lawrence Colden. She took the Colden surname when Lawrence adopted her. The family moved to Missouri for Lawrence's job and settled on Country Brook Drive in Spanish Lake, a suburb of St. Louis. Phoenix was mostly homeschooled and later attended the University of Missouri at St. Louis. She was a talented pianist, local junior fencing champion, and played multiple instruments. Deeply religious, she attended church with her mother regularly. She had lived in her own apartment to be closer to university, but moved back home in June 2011 when her parents could no longer finance her living independently. What her family did not know was that she had failed to enroll in classes for fall 2011. At 5:27 that evening, a 911 call reported a black Chevrolet Blazer abandoned at the corner of 9th Street and St. Clair Avenue in East St. Louis, Illinois, approximately 25 miles from her home across state lines. Officer Kendall Perry responded. For 7 years, the public narrative held that the driver's door was open and the engine running. In a 2018 Oxygen documentary, Perry corrected this. The vehicle was not running and the door was not open, because the car was found in East St. Louis, Illinois, while Phoenix was reported missing from Spanish Lake, Missouri. The 2 jurisdictions never communicated. The license plates were never run. The family was not notified. The Coldens only discovered the car had been impounded approximately 2 weeks later when a family friend independently searched tow yards. Inside the vehicle, the family found Phoenix's glasses, purse, shoes, and identification, along with revelations that shattered the picture they had of their daughter. There was a cell phone bill sent to collections for a secret phone. There were 2 cell phones, one known to her parents and one hidden. And there was a selfie video recorded approximately 1 month before her disappearance. In the video, Phoenix appears distressed, saying, "Got ditched. I just want to start over. People don't give a fuck." She recites a modified serenity prayer and says, "I just want to be happy, man. I can't remember a time when I was happy." Investigations revealed a secret life. Phoenix had been living with a boyfriend. Investigators cleared him, though the reasons were never publicly explained. She was also seeing a second man, whose ex-girlfriend came forward during the Oxygen investigation, revealing he had a troubling history and she had filed a restraining order against him. The ex-girlfriend reported that the second man was obsessively researching Phoenix's case and said, "Why are you worrying about someone who's dead?" A disturbing statement given Phoenix was officially listed as missing, not deceased. During the Oxygen investigation, retired Detective Joe Delia entered the name Phoenix Reeves into a nationwide database. Only 4 individuals in the United States had that name. 3 were quickly ruled out. The 4th had no identifiers, no family, no social security number, and 1 address in Anchorage, Alaska, with activity from January through June of 2012, starting 1 month after Phoenix disappeared. Investigators traveled to Anchorage, but the homeowner denied any knowledge. After June 2012, all activity under that name ceased. The Colden family's own exhaustive search, hiring private investigators and following every lead, drained their life savings and caused their home to go into foreclosure. They were also victimized by a cruel hoax from Texas claiming Phoenix was trapped and needed money to be freed. The parents sent money before discovering the deception. All activity on Phoenix's bank accounts, cell phone, social media, and social security number ceased completely from the day she disappeared. Best friend Akira Hogan reported that Phoenix had undergone a dramatic personality change in the months before vanishing and was almost unrecognizable. The case remains open with NamUs and St. Louis County Police. This was all from our side today. Thanks for watching. Click here to check out another video.